At 4 p.m. Christmas Day, Charles McCreary arrives at the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. Geophysicists turned detectives Stuart Weinstein and Barry Hirschhorn are busy deciphering the clues of a mystery 7,000 miles away. Without any tsunami sensors in the Indian Ocean, like those in the Pacific Warning System, the team has no way of knowing if there is a tsunami at all.
Mental state is, this is a big event.
But what is racing across open water is much bigger than they could even imagine. At 9 a.m., the tsunami slams into the island chain of Nicobar, 440 miles from the epicenter. The islands are decimated, hit by waves towering almost 50 feet, more than a fifth of the population killed. The island of Trinket is split in two by the powerful waves. Other small islands have disappeared completely into the sea. 10 a.m., Galle, Sri Lanka. Beachgoers are startled at a sight that makes no sense at all.
Just getting ready to go snorkeling in the water and saw the tide had gone out way more than usual. All the coral and rocks were exposed.
The dramatic withdrawal of the sea from the shoreline is nature's warning, a signal for those who recognize it that a tsunami is on the way. Instead of the ocean rolling gently on shore, the waves shift into reverse, as if sucked back to sea by a giant vacuum. As the water retreats, it draws onlookers to the beach. But curiosity can be a killer. As quickly as the water recedes, it rushes back with deadly power.
First we thought we might just get a bit of water come up to the room, and it just kept coming and coming until it burst through the door. We were lucky enough the rooms burst through the whole wall.
Inside! Get inside! Come on, guys!
The giant wave barrels inland, turning hotels, houses, and cars into death traps. For those lucky enough to escape the first wave, survival depends on a desperate dash to higher ground. Wave after wave pounds coastal towns to rubble. The waves were so high, he says, that everything washed away. I realized we'd die if we stayed. An hour later, the water recedes. A train loaded with some 1,500 people is now a pile of twisted metal. Dazed passengers search for family that only moments before had been sitting next to them.
After the initial wave hit the carriage, and the carriage tilted, and the water level was up to here on me, and I thought to myself, I don't know if I'm going to get out of this. But then I saw the opening, and luckily I managed to jump up and pull myself up.
Next in the crosshairs, India. Hardest hit, Tamil Nadu in the south. Thousands are washed away from the beaches, many of them women and children taking their ritual bath in the surf. At 5:30 Hawaii time, the scientists at the Tsunami Center have squeezed every available drop of information from their computers. There was nothing to do but wait.
It could be that, it occurred after the P wave magnitude window.
Minutes later, reports from the area hit the internet, confirming their worst fears. Sri Lanka, 1,000 miles from the epicenter, has been hammered by huge waves. The number dead, unknown. Their theoretical tsunami is now very real.
Unfortunately, because we have no sea level gauges in the Indian Ocean, we didn't have any way at all to monitor it, and the only thing we had was the news reports.
The Sri Lankan government has declared a state of emergency.
At 7:25, news. It's not good. Scientists at Harvard have determined the Indian Ocean quake measured 8.9, a quake so powerful the entire planet wobbles in its wake.
All of us realized that this threshold was being crossed, that we were now potentially dealing with not a local, but a potentially basin-wide event, a tele-tsunami, you could call it.
Tele-tsunami. A tsunami so big and powerful it consumes an entire ocean. Once these waves hit open ocean, they can roam for thousands of miles without losing their enormous force. This is precisely the kind of catastrophe McCreary and his colleagues are equipped to respond to. 95% of the world's earthquakes happen in the Pacific Ocean. 26 countries around the entire basin know the drill in the event of a tsunami. But this disaster isn't in the Pacific.
We can't stop the earthquake and we can't stop the tsunami waves. And we may not be able to stop destruction of property, but what we need to do is try to stop the loss of life.
With the tsunami now headed for the African coast, the scientists in Hawaii are frantically trying to find someone to warn half a world away. Phuket, Thailand. On this beautiful morning, a leisurely stroll turns into the race of his life for American Glenn Watson.
I saw the wave, and I said, oh my God, and I started running.
Watson doesn't make it. Rushing up the stairs of his resort, the water overtakes him. He can do nothing but cling to the railing. It is the same for hundreds of others. Those who can't grab hold of something are washed away in seconds. Many people who outrun the first wave have no hope of surviving the second. Higher and more powerful, it is a rapidly rising flood that pushes what remains of the first wave even farther inland.
Oh my God!
Catching those who think they've reached safety.
Coming again!
A tsunami is always more than one wave, and the waves that follow the first are usually bigger and more powerful. They can be as long as 100 miles from front to back. The lull between waves, up to half an hour, deceives people into thinking that the tsunami is over, when in fact, the worst is still to come. Meanwhile, Glenn Watson can barely keep his head above the water. But when a mother and her young child swirl by, he instinctively grabs the boy from her floundering arms. The woman is lost to the rushing water.
I keep seeing her face looking at me. And the only thing I think of is maybe she saw that I got her son. And a mother would want to know her son was saved.
After nearly 10 minutes, 2 Thai men pull Watson and the boy to safety. Watson never has a chance to find out who his rescuers were.
I came so close to giving up and letting go that I think maybe God told me don't let go.
State warning point.
In Hawaii, Charles McCreary and his team scramble for contact names and numbers of authorities in countries that might still have a chance to evacuate their shorelines.
We have to, as quickly as possible, get a reliable, potentially life-saving contact.
At 10:15, the team reaches officials in Madagascar and Mauritius. But McCreary can't tell them with any certainty how the tsunami might affect their shores.
We have some intuition about how things propagate across the Pacific, what places are dangerous, but we didn't have any of that kind of intuition in the Indian Ocean.
The tsunami reaches the last of the countries that ring the Indian Ocean. Somalia is nearly 3,000 miles west of the epicenter, but the distance is no protection. Nor is the passage of time. Despite being nearly 6 hours old, the enormous tsunami still towers over people when it hits the beach. The worst of the tsunami is over. But it will take days for the incredible energy that fueled it to dissipate completely. Waves will continue to bounce back and forth across the Indian Ocean. In Huntsville, Alabama, sandwich shop manager Connie Ward gets news of the devastation for the first time.
And that death toll is expected to rise as we get more.
She can barely breathe. Her father is Glenn Watson, vacationing in Thailand.
I was trying to watch everything I could, trying to, take in all the information I could. And my sister did start looking up the State Department and who do we call first, what do we do next if he doesn't contact us. And
as the images continue to pour in from the ravaged area, so do the staggering numbers of lives lost.
Deadly tsunamis that have killed more than 3,000 people.
40,000 people.
80,000.
Expected to reach 150,000.
It is the worst tsunami in recorded history, one of the 7 deadliest natural disasters ever. The world struggles to reach the stricken area and bring much-needed water, food, and medical support. Across the region, people are searching for loved ones. Along with the necessities, happy endings are in short supply. On December 27th, Connie Ward in Alabama gets news.
I just had this one email that said I'm alive, and I was like, okay, I need more than this.
For now, knowing that her father survived seems enough of a miracle. There would be precious few of those to come.